Now that we've had a bunch of practice with the big layout, let's make a couple small changes as the browser resizes. So these changes are not large. When the screen resizes to less than 800 pixels wide, we're going to stack the layout on top of each other rather than letting it float. So that's a big one. Also, the bird is not going to float anymore. So let's make that happen using a media query. And typically this happens down at the bottom. Often there's a comment about it that just calls it out as a special section. This is not anything special, this is just a comment. I mean, you could put, hi, how are you, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious here. It's just that people often label this section as it is here. So what makes it a media query is by starting with the keyword @media, and then you usually put screen. Sometimes you see all here. But some pages have a different style sheet for the browser and for print. Like if you print a page, it will actually show up differently. I was quite impressed that even the state of Maine, which has some forms where if you try to print the page, it gives you actually a completely different looking page, which is pretty cool. That's like appropriate for a printer. Max width 800 px. And here's where I'm going to undo some of the things that are floating. And actually this is convenient to have all the layout styles right here. So for the moment, I'm glad they're here because it's a very tidy area and I can just look up quickly and say, I need to undo this float left here and I need to also undo this float. So I'm gonna say main content aside, float none, and also I'm going to do it here. It's the same thing, so I'm just going to keep going here with a comma. So just notice here, this one is not a contextual selector. This is just a simple comma, but this one is a contextual selector that's talking about the figure inside the main content only. Just a little bit of safety there. Save and refresh in the browser. So you won't see any change in the browser because I'm at more than 800 pixels, but like as I go smaller, there. What is that? Let's find out what that space is because it's not supposed to be there. Yeah, it's supposed to be left aligned. How does this look? A little bit too small. So, oh, the widths are still there. So the width should be back to 100%. Let's make that change. This is going to be a bad idea for the figure, but let's go there. Okay, a bit better. Okay, and then let's get, in this case, I'm going to need a separate rule, so it's not really clear what the right answer is here, but if I have a separate rule for figure anyway, I'm not sure if I would leave. If I have to write a separate rule for figure anyway, I don't know if I would include it here. Just leave it with its same width and put its float none on. Otherwise, I'd end up having it set to 100% and then set to 250 pixels again, which was its default in the first place. So that seems a little bit clunky. I think it's probably cleaner to just set the float none on here, and only set these to 100%. Now let's figure out what that space is to the left of the bird. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. Yeah, what is that? I don't have any idea. Well, I have some idea. Figure. Oh, it's margin on the figure. I think it might just be default margin. Oh, it's in the normalized. So by default, a figure has some margin on it. Let's take off that margin. I like the rest of the margin. It's just not the margin on the left. So, and we don't even, it's nice in the other page, in the other part of the page, but here, let's just say margin left 0. Save and refresh. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so the other one is the very, very small layout. And in that one, it says when it's less than 420 pixels wide, we're going to make the nav links stack on top of each other. Okay, let's do that. And then the rest of it doesn't really change. It just gets skinnier. So I think we've done all that already. One more media query here @media screen and max width 420 px. This is all happening in the nav area. And what is making the nav look like it is? Well, they're A tags. That float of that last one should come off. So that was this one. Let's rewrite this rule to make that one not floating anymore. Let me indent all this into its parent rule. So let's take the float off that. So that will already change them. Refresh. Let's get it down to 420. Oop. Okay. So here now they're all horizontal. We need them to be vertical. So these are all A tags. By default, they are, well, right now they're set to display inline dash block. And we need them to not be inline at all, just block. So let's make that happen with the display property. Nav A, display block. This will make them stack on top of each other. That's what a block level element does. And then it looks like we also have some text aligning going on, I believe. Yep, into the center. So one more property and we should be done. Text align center. Save and refresh. Yep, that's looking wonderful. Oh, okay. I'm suddenly, as we do the page size, I'm realizing that my percentage width for background size is not going to work here because it's taking the background, the width of the parent container as the thing that it's calculating the size on. So maybe we have one more video about how to clean that mistake up. But otherwise, I'm liking the way this layout came together. Stay tuned.